step up, clean out the division, take on Aspinall, put an exclamation point on it, and let's see how the chips fall.
I have to get your thoughts on another heavyweight champion, and that was obviously Jon Jones's title defense of his heavyweight title against Stipe Miocic on Saturday night. First and foremost, did you catch the fight? And if so, what did you make of Jon's
Saw the
second fight as a
highlights.
heavyweight?
Yeah, I saw the highlights. An amazing spinning back kick to the liver. The guy is so athletic. He
Mm.
really is. He's technically an amazing fighter, and he did exactly what he needed to do to get the job done against me, Stipe. And I'm a big fan of Stipe. I think he's exactly the epitome of what this sport stands for and the character and everything. So to see Stipe go out that way and retire, I think hats off to him. He's done an amazing job of representing the sport. And good for Jon.
Mm.
Jon did a great job, did exactly what he needed to do against a very, very tough opponent. And I thought Stipe would force him to wrestle more. So,
Mm.
that's how I saw it. I thought it was a tall order for Stipe regardless, but both guys had been out for, 2 years or more. So
Mm.
ring rust is negotiable, whether,
Mm.
both guys are going to be dealing with it, right? So it was really who's going to go out and impose their will, and Jon did just that.
There's been a lot of talk and a lot of interest from fans about seeing the fight against interim champion Tom Aspinall, and Jon has seemed reluctant to really comment about it, if not certainly reluctant to actually, you know, say with confidence that he wants to take that fight next. Have you been surprised with Jon's behaviour and his kind of lack of commitment to the fight against Tom Aspinall?
It calls into question where his heart's at, if he really has that motivation to continue to establish himself as a bona fide heavyweight and basically clean out the division and put an end to any of the naysaying and what's going on with Jon. I mean,
Mm.
Jon's the only one who can answer these questions. Step up, clean out the division, take on Aspinall, put an exclamation point on it, and let's see how the chips fall. I think that would be an amazing fight. I think Aspinall deserves that fight, the shot at that. He's earned it. He stepped up when other guys didn't want to step up. He should be rewarded for what he's done and where he's at in his journey on
Mm.
this pathway.
I think the odds came out, the future odds, and they had Tom as about a minus 150 favourite. Jon is around
Wow.
about a plus 30 underdog. Would you agree with that? Who would you favour going into that matchup?
Um, I think experience wise, you've got to give the nod to Jon. I mean, he's
Mm.
been doing this for a lot longer. I think he's slowly establishing himself as a bona fide heavyweight, and we certainly know Tom is a bona fide heavyweight.
Mm.
I think what he just did against Stipe certainly tells me that he's in no way overmatched or outsized, and technically and tactically can deal with anybody in the cage. So I don't think that's an issue. But it makes you wonder why dodge a guy? Why not just step up and fight whoever they want you to fight? I mean, you're
Mm.
you're that guy. You're the GOAT, as everybody. And there should be no qualms about it. So that's how I feel. I think Tom's done everything right and deserves that shot.
Mm.
And let's answer the question. The only way we answer the question is if they get in the cage.
Mm. I suppose that's the question I wanted to ask you, as somebody who's held the UFC heavyweight title. Jon has been very adamant that if he does want to fight next, it would be the Alex Pereira fight that would be his preferred final fight. Do you feel like a champion should get say in who they fight, or do you feel like that should be up to the organization, whether that's the UFC or another organization, PFL, one championship on and on, who should decide who challenges the champion?
I think both entities should have a say in the matter.
Mm.
You walk a fine line there. It was something. I rarely balked at who they wanted me to fight.
Mm.
So I think there's a part of it as a warrior. You just it certainly has to somehow in your heart make sense. This is the guy I should be fighting. This is the guy that's going to continue to move me down the line and move me up the rankings or move me,
Mm.
wherever I need to go. That's why I chased the Fedor fight for as long as I did. I mean, that's the guy I wanted to fight. So I think most of the guys have that same mentality, and I think Jon, him, and Han, and not just being willing to step in there with whoever they want him to fight. I think there's, in some ways, you got to be a little smart about it because sometimes the company doesn't always have your best interest at heart. Let's be honest.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, you're a warrior. This is what you do. This is how you make a living. And if you don't step up in that cage, you don't get paid. You don't make your money. So
Mm.
I think you take on whoever they want you to take. but you have a say in that matter. Say, hey, what I really want to fight this guy. This guy's a tactical, more technical challenge for me than that guy. I feel like Jon's going the other way. He sees Pereira, somebody who's moving up from a lower weight class, just like he has.
Mm,
That might be a better style matchup for him than a guy like Aspinall. Aspinall's
mm,
dangerous. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic, he hits hard. Those are all dangerous things in the heavyweight division.
mm.
So therein is the dilemma that Jon creates when he balks a little bit about, oh, I want to fight this guy, not that guy.
You mentioned your fight there with Fedor, and there's completely different reasons for why that fight never happened to this current situation. But I almost wonder if there's a worry that the history could repeat itself, and the fight that everybody wants to see doesn't eventually end up happening because of, extenuating circumstances. Do you think about that? Is there a similarity
Um,
there?
I mean, there's an argument there that maybe
Mhm.
this fight doesn't happen because the organization can't seem to make it happen, or because Jon, doesn't feel that strongly about fighting Aspinall when he does about Pereira. At the end of the day, they're trying to make money and sell pay-per-views, and anytime Jon's walking up in that cage, that's going to be a good night for the
Mm,
company. So I'm sure they're going to push him in the direction they want him to go, that they think is going to sell the most pay-per-views,
mm,
and that's Tom, in my opinion,
mm,
at least right now. Give Pereira some time to acclimate and show that that he's a heavyweight and can compete with those guys at that size and all of that, and then maybe the Jon fight makes more sense. Jon gets one more to establish, yeah, I'm here and I'm here to stay. You want it? Come on. I
mm,
mean, that's the attitude. Uh,
mm,
those crossover fights are tough because these organizations are very, very exclusive. These contracts are very, very exclusive. There's no transparency in our sport. That's the big issue with our sport. That's
mm,
why the Fedor fight never happened. They wanted a co-promotion, and one did. UFC's like, no, why would we put you over? We're not going to do a co-promotion with you. If you want, we're happy to sign Fedor and pay him this amount of money to fight this guy, but we're not going to do a co-promotion. That was where that fight came unhinged.
yeah.
So what it would have been an amazing Super Bowl fights, Pride champ versus the UFC champ. And I think that, what PFL just did with the champs versus champs last year in Bellator is an indication of what the fans want to see. And I'm happy that PFL was able to pull that off and do that. I think we need to see more of that and create this transparency and eliminate the restrictive nature and the anti-competitive nature of our sport right now.
Mm.
Should be able to have these co-promotion bouts against that champ versus that champ. That's the stuff the fans want to see.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Andy, and I think that's the best place for us to end. So thank you as always for your time. Look forward to seeing you back in the commentary booth at PFL finals next Saturday. Enjoy the next Friday, excuse me. Enjoy the
Yeah.
flight, and thank you as always for the time.
Thanks, Mike. Be well.